Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Wednesday night live stream, and you're joining me for another instance of conversion critique. Now, this is something I tried out last week, and it kind of went well. I got a lot of really good responses. It was really good to go through you guys' submissions. So yeah, welcome back to another one. Before we go, thank you to Lord Duran. Kind of curious if you do the Thunder Warrior conversion like that one community post seemed to imply. Mate, yeah, I am planning on doing it. I just want to get it right. It's one of those conversions that I want to really do a good job of and maybe kind of expand out into a kill team. And I'm just trying to get my head around it. So we'll see. Never say never. So same deal as last time. If I've included the link in the description. So if you haven't submitted your work already, you can do so there. I'll be going through everyone's in chronological order. Whoever submitted first will be getting looked at first, with the exception of anyone who is a patron supporter, a YouTube member, or if you donate live on the stream, then I'll give you guys priority because you've got to have some perks, haven't you, at the end of the day. Yeah, I've got everything set up. We can jump straight into it. I think Ben Ives is in the chat already. I think I might have seen him in there. If you're okay to carry on moderating this time, then that would be great because we do seem to get some spam bots sometimes. So yeah, every now and again I'll be looking at the comments and I'll be answering maybe a few questions. I want to get through as many of these as I can. I've got about 190 submissions and I did about 20 last time. So hopefully try and do a few more this time. Anyway, let's get started. Let me get this set up and is it this one? Okay. Right, let's start with the first person on the list, and this is Niles Bayer, I believe. Now, let's bring this picture up. So what we have here is a rather excellently converted, I think it's an Orc War Boss. It looks like an Orc War Boss here. Grim Guardsman, thank you very much for becoming a member. Much appreciated. I did actually see that you'd already submitted some of your work, so I will mark that off for you. Bear with me. Okay. So yeah, I think this is a very nice, well-built conversion. You can see here we've got some Deathcopter parts. I think that's the parts from this section. Those kind of like metal ribs. I believe they're from the Pain Boy, and those kind of work really well together. It makes this really nice kind of Storm Boy, but then taken to the nth degree. I really like that idea. It kind of has these wings. I'm guessing they're not rotary blades because they'd be crashing into each other, so they're kind of more like a wing, and you've got these jets at the back. Really nice use of this this skull here to match into the bionic arm, the legs, nice positioning as well. A few more images. Yeah, looks really solid work here. Very even gone to the effort of connecting this power cable. Excellent work. Yeah, so really nice stuff here. So in terms of where to go from this one, I mean, there's a lot that's already been done, which I wouldn't really add much more to it, because at the end of the day, with a conversion, you don't want to get too involved. The only thing I would say, if I had to be really nitpicky here, would be it doesn't seem to be any obvious way of propulsion. I mean, I'm guessing these wings aren't going to be, these are more like wings than they are kind of rotor blades. So I would say maybe some sort of jet, maybe take one of the Stormboy rocket packs, pop that at the back here just to give it the model a little bit of an idea as to how it can be propulsed. But apart from that, excellent work, really nice conversion there. Yeah, excellent. Let's go back to this. With a couple more donations, thank you very much. Nicola Russon, big thank you for your work and your channel. You inspire so much. What's your favourite kit to convert with, be it for bodies or for bits? Oh, there's lots of different options in there. I mean, very basic, I would say, is the Citadel Skull set. Lots of cool parts in that, but in terms of an actual kit, I really like the Mach 3 kit. I think some of the newer kind of Space Marine kits can probably do quite well as well. So things like the Blade Guard, things like that have really nice, interesting bits in them. Probably those. We also got Cyrus as well. Late submitters have a chance. Thank you very much, Cyrus. Excellent. Okay. Let's just mark that one as done so I don't accidentally come back to it. And I'll just mark Grim Guardsman for being a member. Perfect. Right, who's next? We have a someone who was featured last week as well. This is Painting Peter. Again, like I said last time, excellent name. So the only trouble with doing this is the way that Google give you the links for these images is really not an easy way to work with. So maybe in the future I'll have to think of a different way of doing Google Forms, but for now it's okay. We can work with it for the time being. Okay, let's see, these have loaded up, and I'll just double check what's being asked for with this one. Okay, let's go for it. So here we have a custom Imperial Assassin for an Inquisition warband. Base model's one of the Imperial Assassins. Yeah, I think that's quite a strong basis there. Use a variety of bits to try and create something unique. Okay, right. So yeah, like I said, I think I can't remember the exact one. Is it the? I always forget which one it is. It's not Vindicare. It's not. Is it Calidus? I think it is Calidus, or yeah, I'm sure the chat will say. Yeah, I think this is kind of a really it's a really nice conversion. I like how Shadow System as well. Thank you for joining the channel, much appreciated. The weapon here, I believe, is one of the Dark Elf ones, one of the piratey guys. We've got a weapon here, which I believe is from the what's it called? Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a Dark Elf blade. Actually, thinking about it, this is very much like a Dark Elf weapon here. Blends really nicely into the torso. The only thing I would say is this arm, and probably this arm not so much because it's kind of got the armor on it, but the musculature here looks a little bit too strong. It looks a little bit bulky compared to the rest of the body. That's probably the only thing I would say. Maybe the weapon as well. I probably have attached that a little higher up. Or maybe gone for a finer blade. It looks quite big and clunky on such like a small leg. But yeah, apart from that, the pose works well. The head works well. I believe that's an arcoflagellant head there. And yeah, overall, nice conversion. But yeah, just try and get that scaling down. Just sometimes it doesn't look too bad from here, but the shoulder looks a little bit bulkier. Maybe that can just be modified and tweaked. But apart from that, really nice solid work there. Right. Just having a cup of tea out my Pete the Wargamer mug. Emo Pony said, are the submissions from last week's on the table? Yes. So anything that's got submitted before, you don't need to submit again. I'm going to keep a rolling list. I'm just going to keep working my way through that. It might take a while for me to get to stuff, but again, if you're one of the supporters, you'll get the priority. And I'll try to get through as many as I can, but there's a lot of submissions. Okay. So we have a couple more for the next person here, and I believe that these also come from, we had these last week as well, I think. Is it Philippe? Yes. Okay. So if you watched the stream last time, and also if you saw the screenshot that I used to advertise this particular stream again today, you'll be very familiar with this converter, and rightly so. Some really nice kind of stuff coming out from them. Perfect. So we have two here, and let's bring those up. So yeah, you should recognize these. Spot on work, really excellent sculpting work. There's really nice kind of mashup of Flesh Eater Courts and like the Imperial, kind of the great swords. I suppose it's that whole kind of Lanzknecht. I always pronounce that word wrong, so don't correct me. I know I pronounce it wrong, and I can never get it right. Yeah, so I think if we flip to this image, you can see some of the conversion work here. Lots of really nice green stuff working, custom blade. The hat is all custom, but it's nice because as well, there's been an incorporation of components into this as well. So, and also this matches it's very similar in style to what we've seen on some of the Empire handgunners as well. Nice little bit of armor here, kind of brings back that whole aspect of kind of the vampire look, and nice juxtaposition against this, and really nice work here with mounting this chest at the bottom here. We have another picture. This is again, this is like a kind of like an Aussie Arc Bone Reaper version. A lot of green stuff work going on here. This is like all pretty much custom sculpted. Very hard to kind of see exactly what's been used. I guess I'm going to say it's going to be the Flesh Eater Corpse miniatures again, just with lots of sculpting build up, and you can see it almost has like a kind of a carnival appearance to it. I'm not sure if it's just the color scheme and just these miniatures here, but yeah, really nice, excellent work there. Definitely check them out on Instagram as well, Skull Studio. I gave them a follow last week. Some really nice stuff. Thank you very much for submitting again and sharing some more of your work. Let's just mark those as done. Wonderful. Right. So the who's next? Okay, so it did seem to have a bit of a problem. Oh, actually, let's just check. It might not be. Okay, so Twisty Samurai, I believe you submitted some work, but for some reason Google didn't like the files, and it's just submitted saying that you've done something and not actually give me any files. So if you are on the stream, then please do submit again, and I will get to them. Just drop me a message as well, and we'll look at those. So because of that, we're just going to move on to Barry, who's looking for some critique. Let's get these files up and running. Okay, so let's start off with the kind of the work in progress stuff first for this one. So this is Barry, and let me just grab up the text here. So this is a model that was put together for the first Grimdark Compendium Masterclass, along with the diorama base he'll eventually sit on. He's a tech scavenger from a planet. There's a warp anomaly within its gravitational pull, which sees ships lost to the warp regularly crash to the planet's surface. A bit like that planet from Thor Ragnarok. Paint job is a little messy right now, as I refine things further, but we dirtied up to integrate into the swampy environment. So, yes, really nice conversion so far from what I can see. So let's go through and play Spot the Bits. We have a cold one at the bottom. I believe it's one of the Dark Elf ones as opposed to the Seraphon. We have the legs that look like an Atalan Jackal. Based on those, we have a few different components there. The head is obviously Skitarii. Nice use of these like little watch components here, these little brass components. I did have some of those and used them in the past, but I've never really found a use for them since. But never say never. I do actually need to get myself some of these kits. They're very nice kits. From the front there, we can see a little bit more work. I believe that this is a House Delaque torso. So you've done a lot of like chopping and pasting there. Another weapon from Genius of the Cults. The shoulders are from the House of Orlok, I believe. We've got an Auspex. This base is really nice. Look at that. That's a really nice. I believe you use a Millennium Falcon for that as well. It's kind of a nice little throwback because it's all about what kit bashing is, and just taking parts from other kits as well. That's really, really nice that you can use other components and things like that. So. Yeah, excellent work on that. So let's have a look at the painted version. So we can see there's some really nice detailed work here. Yeah, I love how much you've gone into the kind of really taking from a few different components and putting them together. So you can still recognize what they are, but they're not just. It's not just you've taken a Skitarii Cerberus Rider and stuck that on. You've actually gone to the effort of taking an Atalan Jackal. You've modified the torso. You've taken the heads and the arms from different kits again. And it seems to fit really nicely into the saddle. And I don't know if you've had to make much of an adjustment there. It looks like the stock saddle as far as I can tell. It's hard to see in these. But yeah, really great work. You've used some chains, fine chain along there. Chain can be very difficult to get these kind of poses as well. If you're just kind of sticking it to something, it's a lot easier. But when you're actually trying to make it form a shape, it is a lot harder. You've got to use a lot of super glue. So really nice work there. Yeah, again, not really much I can say about this one. Very nice work indeed. I mean, the only thing I would say is if you could get a hold of some finer link chain, or maybe the one that doesn't have these kind of. This is more like a jeweler's chain, something you'd see on like a bracelet. I think sometimes you can, they can look a little bit more like you've just stuck a bracelet to it, as opposed to, I mean, it's not completely finished yet. So once a wash is on there, it'll look a lot better. But try to get the ones with the brass links that look like actual links. I always find that they work a lot better. I've used these in the past. They're also a lot heavier as well. So yeah, really nice work, really nice conversion work. I love the water effects here. I've always wanted to try that, but never been brave enough. So yeah, very nice work indeed. Right, next up, who have we here? Okay, thanks Ben for bot squashing as well, much appreciated. Who is on the list next? Let me just mark that one as done. And next up we have Simon, or Hammerhead. Let's get these images up. So I've had a few submissions from people who have marked themselves as being Patreon supporters or YouTube members, but I can't actually find any your names on there. So if you are doing it, make sure that you do this genuinely. I am checking stuff to make sure that the people aren't slipping through the cracks and they haven't done it. So right, anyway, who is this? So we have Simon next, Simon Hammerhead, and we're looking for both critique. And so this is a Mechanicus Acuta Mech Assassin. There's not much lore for these guys, but I love the idea. The mini is based around the AOS Assassin's legs and capes. Bring it up on the screen. We can read through it together. So yeah, let's get this more of a frontal view here. There we go. Assassin's legs and cape. The rest torso, arms, weapons, and head have all Mechanicus spares. He needs to be jumping off something sort of better than a ruined, grumpy statue to contrast his emotionless nature. Okay, so yeah, we can have a look at the model, try and pick out these pieces here. Yeah, you can definitely see the assassin. It's got very kind of a very recognizable cape here, and you've done a really great work about integrating it in. I believe this is a Tech Priest Dominus's arm, and you've also got one of the Sicarian infiltrators or Ruststalker weapons there. Yeah, really nice work. It kind of fits together well as. I mean, you've managed to integrate the head as well into this kind of crease, and I believe it's a hood. Yeah, you've managed to integrate that as well. That would probably, I imagine, was a bit tricky. You probably needed to do a lot of trimming and adjusting to get that to work. So really great work on that one. Again, great use of tactical rocks. You've used something here which is easily identifiable as being 40k. I mean, again, not much I can say about this one. It's a very straightforward, very simple conversion. It looks to be something you would expect. I mean, if I had to be nitpicky, the only thing I would say, there's a little bit of... I do quite like some... I always forget the word. Asymmetry in miniatures. Asymmetry in miniatures does work quite well, but I feel like there's maybe a little bit too much with this arm here and the kind of the sleeved arm here. I would maybe have gone for another like mechanical arm, or maybe something with a sleeve here, just to kind of help blend the two halves together. It's not to say it's wrong. I mean, everyone has their own stylistic choices. Personally, that's just what I would have done. But apart from that, really nice work overall. Also great paint work on that cape. These kind of flat areas are very difficult. You've got a nice little thin freehand line going around there as well. So great work. Excellent. Okay, let's pick the next person. Okay, we have next a Patreon member that I always recognise the name of. I don't need to check that these are a Patreon member or not. Get their work up on the screen. Okay. So we have a... so I believe that we had this last week, I think, from Jonathan, if I remember right. This is the Abaddon that we had last time. Let me just double check. Recognize it. Yes, this is the painted version of the one that we had last week. So let me just bring up the painted picture here as well, whilst we are. Bear with me. Okay, so this was the original model. I thought I recognised a little skull here. But yeah, the whole kind of corn thing goes really nicely. You've obviously painted the model up now. I mean, this is more of a conversion thing, but I mean, I'm always going to comment on paint jobs because oftentimes a paint job it goes a long way for the picture, for the bringing everything together as well. You can have a model which doesn't quite look how it should do until that paint's on there. And it's quite often times when I've been painting my own miniatures, and for the most part, I'm actually thinking, I don't know if this conversion is going to work. And until you finish painting, you don't always know if it does work. So yeah, really nice. I like the use of the green to contrast the red armor there. Obviously, I didn't actually notice, I can't remember if I noticed this before. You've got the corn symbol. I think I might have done this kind of corn symbol here. Gives it a really nice cornate look. Match that up with the red armor as well. And decent conversions. I like the chain axe that you went for. This little skull here that you've used to kind of act as an in-between. Very nice work. Okay. Let's get the next person up on the screen. We have next up, I did actually kind of mess up with the form. I've asked for people's screen names afterwards. So this is Stuart Bushnell. Let's get those up for you. Okay, let's see, Stuart Bushnell. Okay, we're looking for a bit of a combination here. Okay, so I like the direction this model's going in already. So we have Typhus, and he is lifting up a guardsman, and that guardsman is toast. It reminds me very much of the artwork that's got Typhus lifting up that Tower Fire Warrior, following the very same vein. The pose works really well. It kind of looks like he's lifting that person up. So great use of the pose. A little bit of sculpting work around the hand. I'm guessing that's to hold it. This is a great thing. If you ever want to do sculpting, you ever want to try your hand at working on some sculpting, Nurgle's the way to go, because you can do really basic things that look like mutated flesh and distended stomachs, and it's very great. It's just a really nice kind of subject to work on. So if you want to practice it, do Nurgle first, then move on to other stuff. That's all I would say. A few more conversions here. Now this one's actually very nice and straightforward. This is Icon Bearer. And you'll notice there's a little bit of an adjustment here. And what I like is if you look at all these pipes that have been added, I'm guessing these are guitar strings. They look like it to me. Again, very, very simple and straightforward. But if you look at this here, you can see this little head that's been stuck in. It's almost like this little guy is being kept alive, and he's been used as like a Vox. Obviously, it's the Cadian Vox caster head, and this still being used to. He's kind of been mutated, and his head's been absorbed into the weapon. He's been kept alive by these disgusting liquids that are no doubt passing through these pipes. So yeah, this is the thing. Sometimes conversions don't have to be overcomplicated. This is just a very simple, straightforward. Looks like a little bit of cutting was done around here. The head was been blended in with the green stuff, and a few pipes added. But yeah, really nice, effective. Tells a story. Very good indeed. Yeah, I think in terms of criticism, it's kind of hard because you've just kept it nice and simple. And if you're keeping things simple, then obviously that's the thing. The only thing, I mean, it's hard to say from here, but I think you've adjusted the scythe from this hand, which is quite a difficult thing to do. This hand looks like it's a little bit too open, so it almost looks like it's dropping it. I maybe would have pushed it into the thumb a little bit more, because when you're kind of holding something, you can kind of have the hands out a little bit more, and you can kind of get away. But if it's kind of just loose like that, it doesn't really make sense. Like if it's there, it looks like it's falling, but if it's in the crux of the hand, your fingers can be up, because you can kind of hold on to it with your other fingers, sort of. See what I mean? So yeah, that's probably the only thing I would do with that one. Other than that, really like the pose, really like the little Cadian head, but great work overall. So thank you very much, Stuart. Let's mark you as done. Slowly whittling these down. Right, so next up we have Grim Guardsman. Just give me a chance to get these files up here and okay. So what we have here is a Gabriel Seth from Grim Guardsman, and it looks like you've basically tried to primersify him. You've used some of the Phobos armor. I believe that's the torso from... Maybe not. Maybe it isn't a specific torso. It's probably just a regular Reaver torso, I guess. Looks like you've used some of the original components. You've gone for the giant chainsword here as well. Yeah, very, very iconic weapon. Some nice little combat poses as well. Okay. Yeah, I think it's you've done a really good job there in terms of using Finecast components. Finecast components are really hard to integrate and just work with in general. So you've managed to get this arm. Sizing wise, from this angle, it looks good. It doesn't look out of place. It's going to be hard to find an exact arm against this other side, but really nice work. I think Gabriel Seth originally was he carrying it two-handed, the original model? So the fact that you've managed to angle this outwards, you've gone for the original backpack. The head pose matches the rest of the body as well. That's always a nice way of building movement in a model, because at the end of the day, the head's going to be angled towards where he's running or where he's shooting, and you've got that perfect here. He's got like eye line, and it looks like he's bringing that arm around. In terms of critique, the only thing I would say is he's standing quite a bit far forward on his base. It does add a degree of forward momentum, but it kind of looks like he's going to fall off it. I think in this situation, what I would have done personally, as well just for gaming simplicity, is to mount him slightly further back and maybe angle him a little bit forward, so he's kind of leaning over his base. A lot of people will try and put their stuff towards the middle, and that's fine, but I always find if you step it a little bit further back, because then that gives you more of a presence. You don't want it all the way at the back of the base, but kind of move it a little bit further back and have them, especially with like quite a model with a lot of dynamism like this, it's moving forward. If you put it at the back, it just looks a little bit faster. So yeah, that's why I go for with this one. But apart from that, really nice work with using the Finecast, very hard to work with. And thank you for the nice little, quite like these conversions at the back as well that you've gone for, like these chainsaw shields. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that. Are they forge wheels or are they custom? Can't quite tell. Chains wrapped around the wrists, chains wrapped around the chest as always. A plus with me, thank you very much. Right, thank you very much. And we have the next candidate. This is Morgan Monte. Let's grab up your files and get them on the screen. Okay. Oh, you've given me a full list of all the parts that you've used. No, I'm not going to read that because part of the fun is I can check it afterwards, but apart from that, I'm going to try and figure out for myself. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, so what we have here is let me just get this first picture up. We have a Nurgle Contemptor Dreadnought. This is really nice. I really like what you've done with the armor here. You've kind of added these little I guess I would say that they're from the Putrid Blightbringer, if I remember. They have those kind of sensor bearer things, and you've drilled them actually into the armor, from what it seems. You've cut into them, added them. It really gives that Nurgle symbol, that kind of 3-circle Nurgle symbol. The Forge Fiend tendrils here work very well for this kind of thing, and I guess I think you definitely used the Halbrute head there, if I remember right, if I recall how it looks. The Forge Fiend component there, it looks like there's a Plague Spewer from I'm guessing these opponents, because they're green, they're going to be from one of the easy build, probably the Plague Drone. I'm guessing. I know the Plague Drone comes with those weapons. Yeah, using a little bit of green stuff work here. Nice little symbol work. This kind of stuff is very difficult to do, so excellent work on doing that. And blending all this into this Forge Fiend. I think that's a Forge Fiend Claw. Works about the right scale, kind of metallic. In the back, you've gone for the pipe work here, and this is the thing which I stressed in the last stream, and I'll stress it again. Green stuff work always works unless you're really good at doing it. Green stuff work is always best to enhance an existing model. If you're a really good sculptor, then you can do anything. But if you want to create something and you're not quite sure about working with green stuff, don't rely on it to make anything. Use it to blend two components together. So you can see we've got a little bit of green stuff work here, just to blend these tendrils into the carapace, and then also a little bit of green stuff work over on the back to help blend the spine in too. And that's all you want to be doing, because you can add a component, you can think, how are these two parts going to blend? Even if it's just a gap filling, it's just a little bit of adding some stretched skin, something like that, you can do a lot with it. And that'll just give you confidence and experience and allow you to move on from there and sculpt more complicated or more tricky components. So yeah, but good effort. I say good effort, but it's better than that. It's really kind of very nice indeed. I have wanted to convert a Contemptor Dreadnought myself at some point, and I think the only thing that I would do here, I think the rest, the way you've got the model, you've kind of leaned a lot of chaos mutations to one side, and that works fine. Again, asymmetry does work in models, and I think in this case it does. The only thing I would personally do is make an adjustment to the legs. It's looking very static at the moment. It's looking very upright. There's not really much movement in that. I think the chaos stuff works a lot better when there's a little bit more kind of fluidity, a little bit more aggression in the model. And yeah, I think you've done an excellent job on lifting the arm up here and blending these tendrils. I think all you could have done is maybe just angle these legs apart a little bit, so one's a little bit further forward, maybe adjust the foot, and just give that model a little bit more, so it's not straight upright. It's a fault of the plastic kit, to be honest. The way the plastic kit goes together doesn't make that easier. But it works particularly well for the more... I mean, you can get away with it for some of the chapters, the Space Marine chapters, because they're a bit more like, oh, we're going to follow the Codex Astartes. But for chaos stuff, always try and add as much dynamism into your work as possible. But yeah, apart from that, excellent work. Right. Okay, let's go. So that's everyone who has, as far as I can tell, that everyone who has submitted who's a Patreon supporter who is alive and actually, let me just double check before I say anything, because this document doesn't update unless I force it to. So let's check to see if anyone else has. Submitted who's a supporter. We have had a few. Okay. Let's just bring this here. So I'm just going to check that these are correct. And so Lord Arani, yes. Timothor. Let's see. I can't remember if I saw your name pop up. I do apologize if you did. I'll just double check. But yeah, with these with these conversions, it sometimes it might seem that I'm maybe being a little bit nitpicky with things, and what I'm trying to do more than anything is to just, if I feel like you're maybe more of a beginner, you're just starting out with the conversions, then I'll probably be a bit more, I don't want to say lenient, but I'll kind of give you a few smaller tips to do. But if I feel that your conversion work is good, then I probably will be a little bit nitpicky, because why else would you submit it if you didn't want any conversion and criticism? But sometimes don't take it personally if I do say that something would be done better doing this way. Again, a lot of this is just my personal opinion and just the way I would approach it. Not everyone is the same. Okay. Right. Love us, Pete. I love everyone. Everyone who converts, you have a special place in my heart. So everyone who submits it. I mean, at the end of the day, this takes a lot of guts to come out here and put your work on display to everyone. Because not only are you just kind of putting it online and everyone can see it, you're also going, oh, can you actually critique this for me? Can you actually have a look at this and tell me what you think and where I can improve? And sometimes asking for that can be quite difficult, especially when you're, I mean, I don't know how many people are watching the stream currently, but in front of about 200 people. So yeah, right, next up we have, lost the name. Okay, we have a post from Lord Duran, who very kindly donated at the beginning of the stream. We have some Thunder Warriors. Really nice work on these Thunder Warriors. You've captured that kind of classic Thunder Warrior appearance. It's based on the kind of the classic style. Stormcast Eternals work really well for that as a basis. It was probably where I was leaning. I think you've kind of gone for, I'm not sure, let's just find what you've said. Trio of Thunder Warriors I converted and plan on playing as Alaris Custodian. So you've kind of gone for 3 different variants here. So the first one looks to be based on the Tartarus Terminators, if I remember correctly. You've got a Stormcast Eternal here with a Cadian head, and you also have what looks to be a House Goliath legs, Tartarus torso, shoulder pad Mark 3, shoulder pad same over here. I'm not 100% sure where the arms are from. These are older, so I think these possibly Mark 3 bolters there. Yeah, I think this guy is probably my favourite. I think you've covered all the bases with this one. This is the way you've gone probably the closest to the traditional Custodian's lore. You've picked a model which has more archaic looking power armor, so you've gone for a fancy model. So you have that kind of, it looks more like steel plate. The head is also very similar to the old kind of visored. A lot of people use this Cadian head. It's a very nice use, and you've got the top nut here as well. Mark 3 power pack has that really kind of old world appearance, so you've kind of ticked all the boxes with this one. I'm guessing you've used this axe here because it's from the Death Guard, and they all use the Mark 3 stuff, so that makes total sense. The only thing I would say in terms of kind of critique with this one is maybe fill in some of these holes in the axe. It does make it look a bit more chaotic. You start to lose some of that. He is a good guy. You don't want him looking too chaotic, so maybe fill in that a little bit. For this guy, he's looking a little bit top heavy. I know that the Stormcast guys, the Thunder Warriors do have like more of a power armored top and then less of a power armored bottom, but he's missing some armor. You could probably resolve that by just adding some armor plates if you wanted to. But again, these kind of legs work very well for this kind of thing. And again, for this one, I think you've done a good job of creating. I mean, this is obviously Terminator armor, so it looks very much like a Terminator as opposed to your classic Thunder Warrior. But as an actual conversion, I think it works quite nice. Stormcast works, all this stuff always goes well. I'm guessing this is green stuff sculpted. So I think I touched on this last week a little bit. If this is kind of like a fur cloak that you're looking to create, then fur is a very tricky one to do, and creating such a large piece like that is very challenging at the best of times. And one of the things I think I said before that you're better off doing is to create a cloak first. So you create the fabric and then you add the green stuff to it, and that will basically allow you to get the folds and the flow and more of like a realistic kind of looking fabric. And then you add the texture to that once that first layer is dried, because that'll give you the most realism and depth in those details. But again, yeah, I think this is kind of hitting all those tick boxes for the classic Thunder Warrior appearance. So yeah, thank you very much for that one. And I think, as far as I can tell, that was everyone who has submitted that I can at least verify for the time being. If you have submitted and you have donated live on stream, or you are a member or you're a Patreon supporter, don't worry, I will. If I don't get to you in this one, I will. Just sometimes I need to go through and just check the names, and if I can't always find your name straight away, I just need to go through. So, Freeman JWB, Hopeful Gas Mask Noses, thank you very much, £2 for your donation. Let's close this one down. And right, okay. So this one was submitted last week, and we've kind of come back around to the beginning of them now. So let's grab some of these pictures up, and let's get them on here. Oh, hang on. Let's make sure the actual... what's going on here? Timothor, let's see. It's not showing up at the moment. Let me just double check. Bear with me. Okay, I think we've got yours, Timothor. Let's get this up on the screen. You are correct. Let's build that up. It's very difficult sometimes keeping track of, because there's no real way of keeping track of who has donated on stream. So I just got to do it in my head. Maybe I should make a little note at the side just to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. It's very easy to do. Okay. Timothor, I think we've got yours. Right, let's get this on screen, and I shall read the blurb that you've sent me. I got the right one. No. Oh yeah, this is the right one. Okay, cool. This is a Master of the Forge in Primus armor, but you want it to look bulkier. And let me just expand it out because I can't read it. Gone for a subtle Hellboy influence, thus the undead floating around. Okay. So you can see that you've based it on that Imperial, I forget his name now. Tor Garridan, that's it. The Imperial Fist character, very nice model to base it on. Really nice chunky armor that you can do some really nice conversion work. So I'm going to try and guess where a few of these components have come from. Obviously Tor Garridan, it looks like a Space Wolf Terminator component. You've got a... I can't remember, this Servo Skull does a lot of... does its rounds in a few kits. I think there's one in the Devastators, there's one in the Terminator sets, there's quite a few of them dotted about. You've added some chains here, I think. These look like they might be from a Dark Elf set. Let's see if there's any more of the images. The servo arm, that looks to be... The servo, I don't recognise that. Was that a 3D... Is that like a custom part, I think? It looks... I don't recognise it completely. But yeah, and I like how you've used the orc head and the orc jaw here on this weapon. Very nice. Kind of, it's a really nice kit, that Citadel Skulls set is, because you can just add stuff, dead animal bits to your work, and it just adds a little bit extra detail. I just noticed as well you swapped out the pistol. I think that's one of those. Yeah, you've gone for. Is it a grav pistol? Looks like it from the end here. Maybe a custom work as well. Saresco, thank you very much for your donation, and also thank you, Daniel Fry. Saresco, love the stream, amazing work, everyone. Yes, very much amazing work today. Daniel Fry, hopefully you can look at my submission, Dan's 40k conversions. Thank you. If you've submitted, I will sure I'll get around to your work. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, this is. I think you've gone for a sort of Raven Guard little symbol there as well. So yeah, I think you've done a good job. You've gone for something a little bit more bulky. You've got the. I mean, if you're going for Hellboy, this fist here is very much a Hellboy kind of reference anyway. This is what I'm saying about the asymmetric stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on the model and how it's being used, and these kind of weapons work very well here. Good use of dead animal bits, and yeah, it's kind of also a few little Mechanicus components too. Pedro Miniatures, I think this fist is the original Torgaradon one, if I'm not mistaken. It looks quite similar. It does look quite similar to the ones which are used on the Slave Ogrins. I don't think it is, but if you want everyone to like a large Servitor Ogrins, sorry. Oh, the web store is currently down for maintenance. This is one thing that annoys me about Games Workshop, because their kind of web store is their main portal. If you just want to look at the pictures of the models and you want to look at like the spruce shots and everything like that, sometimes it's just easy to go on there and you can't always look for it. Anyway, yeah, really nice kind of conversion. You've based it around a very solid model. It's what I based my original plastic Halbrecht on. You've added a few extra components and pouches there just to help separate it from the original model. And yeah, I like where you've gone for this. I don't really know what else you could do to change it. I think you've kind of hit all the marks that you would need to. There's nothing that stands out as being particularly odd or unusual. The head as well is a good choice. It's one from the regular aggressor, so you're changing what this model looks like. And once it's been fully painted, I'm sure it looked very different from the original Torgaradon, which is one of the things you've got to be careful of if you're using these characters as your base models. You need to separate enough from them so that people don't just look at it and like, oh, it's just Torgaradon in different colours. I think you've achieved that, so well done. Great work. Right, let's just refresh this and make sure that we've got everyone up to date. Give that a refresh and okay, so I think we are safe to move on to the next one. Just fill in that before I forget. Perfect. Right, let's get this next one up on. My God, this is so difficult to do sometimes. Last one, and let's get this on screen. So this one is from Jake Mozzano, and what we have here appears to be a, let me get it up. So Sons of the Phoenix, just kind of, we've got a lot of text here, so I'm just kind of skimming through it. So yeah, it looks like you've gone for the typical kind of, it's almost like the Emperor's, I think the Sons of the Phoenix, those, if I'm not mistaken, they're the ones who are probably Emperor's Children Gene Seed, but aren't actually officially so. I think they're like Imperial Fist successors or something like that. But you're called Sons of the Phoenix, and you've got purple armor, so yeah. So what you've gone for a very dynamic pose here. I really like the use of the Vindicator shield, and also you've chosen the spear as well. So see how you've attached that in. Yeah, you've actually done a really good job of blending that in. You've used this mechanical arm, and this is what I'm saying about getting those poses right, because you've got this model that's got a lot of forward momentum. I think the only thing I would have done here again is just move that a little bit further back, because you want the model to not be overhanging its base too much at the front. It's not as bad at the back, but it also makes it easier to play as well. If you've got less going on at the front, you can kind of just put the models up towards each other, and you've got a little bit more space to work with. But yeah, nice dynamic pose that you've got there. Very simple kind of weapon swap, straightforward work, and you will use a Mark III helmet again. So yeah, very nice choice of helmet there, in my opinion. You also shave this down as well. This is a very tricky kind of job to do. These kind of removal jobs are definitely worth it, but they do require a little bit of tedious scraping and trimming just to get a flat surface. But then you can add your own transfers to it, so it's definitely. But yeah, apart from that, I think the only thing I would have done is just move that a little bit further back on the base. The cloak works well, the weapon works well, and the shield does as well. Gives it a really nice kind of Blade God veteran appearance, and I would be happy playing that on the table and saying that, yep, that's a Blade God. Great work. Who do we have next? We have ZBF 3000, and bear with me whilst I just mark those off and then get the submissions up on the screen. So we have another interesting kind of conversion here. So this is another Thunder Warrior, and this one has been based off the Forge Wheels Perturabo. They've referred to it as a variation of True Scale called Ched Scale, which I've not actually heard of before. And it's basically like almost was like an Inquisitor kind of style, the old Inquisitor game, the 56mm models or something like that. It's kind of like a large model. But yeah, I can definitely see where you've gone for with the whole Thunder Warrior. It's very grimdark. This is like a very, very grimdark indeed. You've also used resin as a basis for your conversion. Again, very hard to work with. Really difficult to work with. Unfortunately, we've got we've got a spammer back. So Ben, please do squash those, please. I think the arms look to be Ogre Kingdoms, if I'm not mistaken. Let's have a look at that. It's hard to tell, actually. You kind of use parts from one and mashed it to another one. It's very difficult to tell what these are from. But yeah, I think you've done a good job here of kind of recreating it's very John Blanche, I would say. That's why I get my most. As soon as I look at this, it's very John Blanche indeed. You've used a few components just to kind of bulk out this middle section here. I can't quite tell what is from what. That weapon doesn't look like a 40k weapon. It looks like something from War Games Atlantic. It might not be, but yeah. Yeah, I think it's nice. The only thing I would say is I would say that maybe this little gut plate's maybe a little bit too low. I would possibly have used a small one, maybe raise that. It's more of like a groinal plate there. But I think if you're going for something which is a larger scale, it's a larger, bulkier miniature than what we'd expect, then I think that's what you've achieved. It looks like very grimdark, very John Blanche styles. I think we've achieved that in the artwork, in the art style as well. So yeah. Also, anyone who works with resin and fine cast or anything like that as materials, metal components, always has a lot more respect from me, because those materials are very hard to work with compared to regular plastic. So yes, thank you very much. That was ZBF 3000. We have someone who I don't think is an actual knight, but I mean, you never know. We have Sir Bum Bum. Interesting name. And just make sure I'm getting these right files, because Google doesn't like to always pick up the right files when I want it to. Okay, we have, just get the first image up so we can see from the front. There we go, perfect. So this is Sir Bum Bum, and this is a attempt to spice up a leader and make them a bit more unique. So I'm guessing here what you've gone for is the Tau Ethereal. You've used that one that just seems to come with everything, like combat patrols, start collecting, and if you you probably only need one of those, so you end up having quite a few of them left over. I really like the fact that you've managed to incorporate the weapons with that one. You've gone for... I really like the helmet as well. I always really like those kind of blank helmet looks. It looks like it's shaved off the small visor. I think it works really well because as humans, we're always drawn to the face. So the face is often the focal point of the model, and we look for things like facial features. And as soon as you don't have facial features, it becomes a lot more immediate, a lot more mysterious, sinister, alien, anything you want, really. And this is a great way of doing that. And the Tau helmets work really well because they're very smooth and flat anyway, and just have a small section to remove. So I really like the use of that. Again, you've gone for, you just added some Fire Warrior parts, I believe. It looks like the Breacher weapon. You've added 2 shoulder pads as well. Yeah, I think in terms of actually making a unique leader, I definitely think that works. The only thing maybe I would have done is, I mean, you don't specify what you're trying to create. If this is an ethereal, then, or whether it's a fire blade or something like that. It's not really super clear what it is. The only thing I would have done is maybe give the weapons a little bit more of a more striking appearance. At the moment, it just looks like a regular Fire Warrior or like a variation of a Fire Warrior, which isn't bad. But if you want it to stand out as your leader, you want to make sure its weapon stands out as well. Or alternatively, just stick it on, or as well as pop it on a rock or a little drone or something, just to elevate it a little bit higher, just to make it really stand out as being the leader. Yeah, I'm guessing this. Also, I'm assuming that this is for Tau Force as well. So yeah, nice conversion, nice straightforward. Just maybe give it a little bit of a different weapon just to make it stand out that little bit more. Okay, we've got through a few more this time than we did last time. We're already on. I think we've got through about 20 so far, and it's only just turned 8, so we should get through a few more this time than we did last time. Next up, we have Charlie B. Okay, let's get these pictures up on here, and I'll just check the background. So this is a Zenerite Tech Priest, and again, it's a very, very simple, straightforward conversion, and sometimes that's all you need to get the point across that you want. It's obviously been based on a Tech Priest Dominus, and you've added in some little Necron legs at the bottom there. You've elevated the model up and given it these little kind of crab-like spider legs. I'm not sure what they're from. I guess they're quite small, aren't they? I can't think. Maybe they're the smaller ones that you get as one of the bigger kits. Maybe like the wraiths or whatever. But yeah, it's really kind of nice, simple, straightforward conversion. Gets across. Oh, it could be the new destroyers. Actually, some of their legs are quite small. But yeah, it gets across what you need. I think. I definitely think it does what you want it to with the Necron part. If I'm not mistaken, there's also an extra arm there. Yes. Yeah, there's a little extra looks like not a Tau, an Eldar weapon, probably a Dark Eldar weapon. Actually, thinking about it, so yeah, you've really kind of lent into that. I was actually going to say the only thing I would have done differently here is maybe giving it a weapon more of a recognizably non-Imperium weapon, and Splinter Pistol. Yes, that's it. So yeah, Splinter Pistol. And I think that's the only thing. The only thing I would do from there, I think you've got a really nice straightforward conversion. I would have swapped out this weapon here, just this one, personally. Maybe go for one of like the bigger. You could go for anything. I think you could go for a Tau weapon. You could go for a Necron weapon. You could go for an Eldar weapon. Anything that which is. I think Necrons work well. Maybe Tau. I think integrating Eldar weaponry directly into a bionic arm would be a bit trickier, but Tau and Necron probably would be able to do something there, and that would just really push that kind of Zenerite aspect that much further. But yeah, really nice work. That was Charlie B. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Hellcat, who has submitted 2 images for our perusal. Ergon Claw, some of the best conversions on YouTube. Thank you. I'm not sure if you're talking about me or some of these pictures that we're looking at, because they really are fantastic. Okay, so we have this one is from Hellcat, and this is a, what do we have here? We have a Terminator. It looks like a very straightforward kind of modification of an arm here, and also slight raising of the weapon. And we also have an Orc Warboss, which looks like the old metal one, if I'm not mistaken. Is it the old Ghazghkull? Is this the old Ghazghkull Thraka model? Let's have a look. I'm sure someone... yeah, that's... Oh, and actually, I don't think it is the old Ghazghkull. It isn't. I think it's the old metal Warboss that used to be. It used to be one who had kind of a squig like flying out on his arm as well. But yeah, I mean, it's not entirely. If it's a conversion, I'm not actually super sure, because these older models I'm not super familiar with. I mean, this was around about when I started collecting, but I haven't really looked at some of these kits for a long time. This looks to be the standard Space Marine Terminator as well. I think you're just doing a very kind of straightforward repose there. You've modified the shoulder pad, what looks like to be a regular kind of shoulder pad, the regular Space Marine one. Yeah, it's very simple kind of modification. You've not used too many components from other kits there. You said that you're a little bit worried about painting it because you spend a lot of time converting. Yeah, and this is always the case. It's always something which happens when you're spend a long time on painting, on converting something, and then when you come to paint it, you're like, oh, I'm a little bit worried like that. But yeah, it's I would say go for yellow. Go stick some like the Ienden yellow contrast paint over that and make it an Imperial Fist. That's what I do, that one. Cool, thank you very much for Hellcat. Who do we have next? We have Richard C. Let's get your images up on here. We have another Torgaradon conversion coming up, guys. Let's get the blurred up. Okay, so we have another Torgaradon conversion here. This is believed for a custom chapter. Yeah, so we have Torgard and base. We have a different right-handed weapon and a different left-handed weapon. We have a Thunderhammer. We've got this dog here. I think this is from one of the Necromunda kits. I can't remember if it's the one from the Palinites or maybe it's a different one. I can't remember off the top of my head. This weapon is a crossbow. I think it's from the I always forget the name of them, but it's from the Stormcast crossbow units. And you've basically stuck a bolt rifle to the front of that. Actually works surprisingly well. You've kind of used a few different variations here. I think that's also from the Stormcast weapons as well. You can see here. I think you've also gone for female Space Marines as well, if I'm correct. I mean, some people don't like female Space Marines, but I don't really mind them. I don't really have any problems with them. If people want to do female Space Marines, male Space Marines want to do... I mean, as someone who has converted lots of stuff into stuff that shouldn't be, then I can't really say anything. Each their own. But yeah, I think this is a Stormcast head that you've maybe used here. It's hard to tell. There's a little bit of bionics there, so unless you've stuck that on yourself, I'm not sure where else it's coming from. This also goes to show that just changing the colour scheme can make the model look very different from the original as well. It looks closer to Monia's Calgar, especially on this kind of left arm as well, with the gold and the blue. But yeah, really nice kind of conversion work. You've kept the backpack, but you've just trimmed off the magazine. Good, because it's a really nice chunky backpack. I did the exact same when I did my Helbrecht conversion. Yeah, nice model. Good use of weapons from other kits. Some knives there as well. I think the only thing that I would go for here is, it's hard to say actually. I think the pose from this side works really well. You've got a very nice kind of pose with the model. I think this arm is maybe a little bit too high, but I think the problem there comes from the fact that the Power Fist is so big and chunky. It has to sit further out from the body and to kind of be just kind of trying to demonstrate on this little camera here. It's got to be that far out from the body because the fist is just so big. So it's quite difficult. I probably would have maybe moved this down. The rifle is also... I like how you've used these parts. I feel like it's quite long though. That's the only thing, and you're limiting yourself down with this arm pose. Maybe you've cut here so you can keep this section of the bolter, and then kind of just stick that onto that bit. I think that would have worked equally as well. But yeah, really nice. Right. Next up we have... Richard has said it's a 3D printed part that hammer is, so thank you for clarifying that. Who's next? Okay, we've got some more what looks like Chaos miniatures coming up. Let's see. Okay, Alex James, come on down. So yeah, we have what looks to be some conversions using the Blood Bowl miniatures, the Khorne Blood Bowl miniatures actually, I think. Chaos Kill Team operatives made out of the Blood Seekers from the Khorne Blood Bowl team. Yeah, it's a really nice kit, that one is. Great for this kind of conversion work, and you can definitely see where the kind of the Blood Bowl stuff is, but I think because Blood Bowl they just wear regular armor, then it just looks like armored miniatures, and you've managed to attach a bolter to it as well. It works well. It's sort of these kind of brass knuckles. I particularly like this one, and I think I like this one because it actually reminds me of the Lorgar model. It has that kind of that high neck. I think, is this a head from the Skull Crushers of Khorne? you added the backpack to it, and you've also managed to incorporate the weapon as well. I think this is one of the old, looks like an old Chaos Space Marine wrist. That one does. Maybe it isn't. This guy as well. Really like the heavy bolts that you've gone for here. Again, this kill team kind of vibe as well. That means that you can. Are these Death Guard bolts, as they say? Yeah, that one looks like a Death Guard bolter. I'm not sure about the hand though. The hand's a different colour plastic, so I'm guessing the hand. It looks to be the old ones. These they had a lot finer detailing around that cuff. The older. Yeah, definitely, because this is the old Chaos Space Marine bolter. So this is definitely from parts from the old Chaos Space Marine kits. Yeah, I think this works really well. Because of like this kind of exposed cloth and muscle, it kind of gives them almost like a scout feel, and works well for kill team. Probably wouldn't work as well in a game of 40k alongside regular Space Marines, but if you're doing kill team, you can say that these guys are, because Khorne is also about not just like bloodthirsting and skulls and blood and everything like that. It's also about pride, and you can almost say that in taking out martial pride. And you can almost say that these guys feel like they don't need as much armor. They can just like crack on without much armor and just go and punch people with these brass knuckles. So yeah, it works really well. And yeah, I should probably have a look into getting this kit myself. Some of the Blood Bowl team kits actually have some Blood Bowl models here. The Nurgle team. I'm actually going to make these not on video. I'm just going to do them for my own use. My wife picked up the Reichland Reavers. She wanted to paint some up, so I thought I'd get some as well, and we can play some Blood Bowl. I've never played it before, so we'll see how it goes. Right. Yeah, as Devin said, less armor, more chance for blood, and Khorne does not care from where the blood flows. Thank you very much, Alex James. And who do we have next? We have a 3-letter name, Eda, EDA. And what have you sent me? Let's find out. Okay. So what we have next are some Cabalites, and these look to be a combination of a few different components from the Dark Elf. We've got a few kind of the regular Cabalite warriors. We've got some components from the witches, if I remember rightly. And yeah, look at this. This is a really nice kind of pose miniature. These double blades work very well for here, and this is definitely one of the witch heads. I think it's one of my more favorite helmets that they have in those sets. And you know what? I don't think if once these were painted, we obviously didn't have these kind of the putty here holding everything together. I don't think these would be recognizable as being conversions. Everything works really well. It gels together nicely. And I mean, this is the great thing about kits that allow you to kit bash between them and not have any, like, almost be seamless, because it just gives you so much options for customizations. And these two kits are those kits that work particularly well. I have some Cabalite Warriors, and I've used parts from the Cabalite Warriors set, and I years ago when they first got released, I built some of the plastic witches, like this banner as well. This is kind of great for doing things like kill teams, where you want a little bit more customization, you want them to be a little bit more unique, but you necessarily don't want to go around trying to take components from 10 different kits and glue them onto your models. You can just get 2 kits and just slot the components together. Yeah, very nice. Okay, let's get the next person up, and let's just bring this up. Just make sure I'm not missing anyone in the chat. Just to let everyone know, we are obviously streaming this on Twitch as well. So if you prefer to watch on Twitch, you can do. Just Pete the Wargamer on Twitch as well. Oh, it's going to take a drink. Take a quick break. Okay, so we are coming up to about the last 15 minutes of the stream. We've done a few more than we did last time. Out of the 190 odd that I've done, I've got down to the 50s. So churning through it. I do apologize if you recently submitted. It's going to maybe take a little while to get through to you, but I'm doing my best, and these streams will continue until I have no more, which I don't think I'll get to, but you know. Oh, this looks very nice. Straight away I can see so let's still check who this is. Okay. So this is from DWO Grim on Instagram. So check them out on Instagram at DWO Grim. And this is just a lovely conversion. This is really, really up my street. You've got a really nice combination of Primaris components with Chaos components to create a very nice Havoc. The Iron Warrior vibe is just kind of oozing from this model. You have so much kind of, even if you ignore the painting as well, I really like these jagged hazard stripes as well. So I think let's see where you've used these components here. So I don't have we do have a work in progress. So again, you can see how everything's kind of come together now that we have it. This looks to be like a custom 3D printed component or a part from somewhere else. You've got these rivets here, which I believe they look like the rivets from the Green Stuff World rivets mold that I've used a few times myself. Mark III shoulder pads. Yeah, and it all comes together. I mean, if you kind of look at this and then look at that, you can see just how flawlessly these blends are done, because the conversion work here is very it's very nuanced. It's very subtle. There isn't all that much in the way of sculpting required. It's just enough to fill in those gaps to bring these two components together. But yeah, to be honest, looking at this immediately, I don't think this looks overly Primaris Space Marine. Sometimes you look at these kind of components and you're like, this is very just like a Space Marine with like some just a Primaris with some spiky bits on there. But I think you've taken enough from a Chaos kit and brought it in, and you just really kind of elevated the height on this as well. Removing the Aquila as well, nice touch. Chain around here. Again, I'm a big fan of doing that as well. Very fine chain as well. I really like that fine chain. I think I mentioned to someone earlier about how fine chain just looks a lot better on these things. Use a larger link chain down at the bottom, but it because it's just kind of hanging loose, it's not taking up as much real estate on the model. And these little rivets are nice touches as well. They don't really stand out as being added on. They're just there. I wouldn't have noticed that these were. Maybe this one, I was more familiar with this particular part. Certainly not that one. But yeah, very nice work. If you're on Instagram, check them out. I think, yeah, perfect. DWO Grim. I'll drop it in the. I'll drop it in the chat. Okay. Right. Let's head over to the next one. Okay, so this one is from. This is from Jan Eland, and looking to create a Spacewall chapter with the style of the Valkyries in mind. This is a Wolf God pack leader with a jump pack. I use the Assault Intercessors as a base and tried to give them a more dynamic pose by adding parts from the Stormcast Eternal Prosecutors. And I think you've done a really good job of doing this. I mean, if you wanted to create something which is Valkyrie inspired, it's definitely got that movement to it. And I think the Space Wolves are kind of interesting because they have this Nordic influence. There's obviously a lot of Nordic stuff which isn't just based around the wolves, so you can take a lot of inspiration from other parts of that mythology. And you've kind of tied it into the wolf here by using the Thunderhammer. But this head, it's a great choice, as is the shield as well with the runes on it. And yeah, this is great. I like how you've used the assault intercessors as to keep that forward movement, and then you've gone from these. I think they're from the prosecutors. You said, yeah, they're from the Stormcast Eternals. Those guys are the wings, and you've used those to just hold the model aloft, and I think that works really well. It works very nice. I think the only thing I would have done differently here is because they kind of look like they're coming out of the little back armor plate. It kind of looks like it's coming out of his rear. I maybe would have extended him a little bit further up the back here, or maybe attach them to something else, just because of where they're positioned. I think they make more sense coming from the belt area. Yeah, you use a jump pack from the Assault Marines, and that works really well with the Primus as well. I'm surprised there isn't really any jump pack kind of. I know there's the there's chunky guys who can have the heavy bolters and the plasma weapons, but there isn't really like an assault intercessor with a jump pack, and that would be nice to see in the future. So yeah, very nice work there. Thank you very much, Jan Elland. I do apologise for pronouncing anyone's names wrong. Normally, if I'm doing names, I try and double check, but there's a lot of names here. So I'm just going to wing it, and we'll see how we go. Yeah, so Amido, you said that you didn't expect the Firstborn jump pack to work so well on Primus. It's surprising how many components do work well between Primus and Firstborn. I'd say anything apart from legs and torsos. Anything else works. I think the arms, maybe not, but from the hands, yeah, you can. I've used plenty of hands. I think even the Deathwatch arms work fine, because they're kind of a little bit weird. They're a little bit like gorilla arms. They're quite long. It's a strange part that their arms are longer than they should be, so you can use them quite well with Primus. So I've used the Thunderhammer from that kit really effectively with Primus, because they're a little bit longer than normal. Anyway, next up we have a submission from Liam. Just the one image here? Yeah, just double checking that I'm not missing anything. Okay, Liam Zap, CZAP. I don't know. Is that like Xar? Zap? Yeah, we'll see. You've submitted this Orc War Boss. You've obviously used the Auric, the Age of Sigmar version from the War Boss from that kit, and you've basically stuck some weapons to him, which is just exactly what you need to do when it comes to orcs. It works really well for this kind of conversion work as well. He's very big, he's very bulky, and for a while we didn't really have any decent plastic War Bosses, so you've done a good job of doing so here. The picture's a little bit blurry, so it's quite hard to tell, but I'm not sure if you've used green stuff here, or if you use like some sort of tape. It's quite difficult to see, but I can definitely see these extra weaponry and armor that you've added over here, just to bring it into the 41st millennium. So yeah, good work on doing that. But yeah, it's hard to see an awful lot. I can get the basic gist of the model, but yeah, maybe just when you try and take pictures, take a few, and if you're using it on a phone or something like that, then make sure you click on the thing, and that should autofocus and auto adjust to the model and not the background. So it just makes it easier for me to review and see these models afterwards. And don't worry about the photographing. I would check. There's an article on Games Workshop. I think they did one for taking pictures of models. It's quite good, even if you're just using phones and things. So no worries. Who do we have next? Yeah, someone said there's a lot of Dakar on that boss, and I think there is. There's definitely quite a few weapons. I think this is some sort of claw as well. I can't quite see, but yeah, it does look I'm sure there's probably a lot of weaponry on that model. Next up, we have some submissions from the Casual Maker, who's casually submitted some images to look at. Let's just grab these. Oh, these are interesting. These are something a little bit different. Yeah, because quite often I mean, I've said it, I think I mentioned it very briefly. Quite often being a 40k channel, people will look at me and be like, oh yeah, we're just going to do 40k models. But you know, don't always need to, because there's a lot of kits out there that you don't have to. So let's bring this one up. This is interesting. Look at that. That's an old army soldier. When the old army went, and you've modified that into a sci-fi kind of model, and that looks really cool. I mean, if we look at the back there, you can definitely see the inspirations, and look at all this kind of sculpting work you've done. Very nice. And we've got Ninja on in the chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. But this is excellent. This is like, it's stuff I would never consider doing, but it's probably really good for doing things like practicing sculpting and doing things like that. But this is essentially a kit bash. Someone's used components. I mean, it's technically a resculpt, but I mean, you know what I mean. They've used parts from another kit, and this has come out really nicely. Very nice. Yeah, as Devon said, it's got a really nice Mandalorian feel with this kind of T section. Maybe I should put my my helmet there. The only trouble with this, I can't actually wear my glasses and wear it at the same time. I should just carry on wearing this for the rest. The only thing is I can't see, so I have to kind of look through my glasses to be able to see anything, which kind of really ruins the effect of the Mandalorian helmet. Ugh. Right. Anyway, enough side diversions. Okay. Ben, that's an improvement. Thank you very much. I mean, it's not great of an improvement, because if I'm trying to look at people's work and I just can't see through my helmet, it doesn't really work too well. You need a glasses mount for the helm. Yeah, I should get a pair of my old glasses and cut the arms and just kind of have them on the front, and it's the refined bounty hunter. Right, really nice work. It's kind of not what I expected to see on this kind of thing, but anything, if you've got anything like this, it doesn't have to be Warhammer, it can be anything, bolt action, plastic army men, even if you've just decided to kit bash a action figure or something like that, I'd love to see that. Thank you very much for Casual Maker for your submission. Who do we have next? We have Tom Carley. Oh, this looks really good. Straight away, this looks good. I haven't really properly looked at it, but the first image on there. Okay, we have Tom Carley. So, first of all, let's have a look. Let's start with this model here. Now, if you've played the Wolfenstein games, then you'll recognize this particular model. Obviously, this is the base model that they've used, and let's see what they've done with it. Let's check it out. Look at that. That looks amazing. It works really well as a basis for an Orc model. You can see we've added some Orc components here from an Orc Dreadnought, I believe. Some Orc weaponry. These look like Thundertusk cavalry, or the Stonehorn cavalry, the big ones, the big Ogre Kingdoms ones. And that's amazing. That works incredibly well. The Panzer Hunt. Yes, you're correct. I mean, that's just a perfect use of another kit. And I mean, it goes really well with Orcs because it's very bestial. It's very... You can just slap bits onto there and make a really nice looking miniature. So, great work. And also thank you for including that original model, because I actually might have to check this. Where is that from? It looks like something like Wish, or has it been 3D printed? I mean, that's very cheap for a model of that size, because that's quite big. Yeah, Daniel, you're very correct. Mechanical models works for orcs or chaos demons. This would work really well as some sort of corn to go alongside the blood crushers or skull crushers, something like that. It would work very well for something like that. I might have to check that out. That looks really nice. Can I get a zoom in on this? Sometimes it doesn't let me zoom in. No, I don't want to comment on it. If I zoom in on the picture a little bit, can we see it? There we go. It looks really nice painted as well, because it helps to blend these components in. And I would love to see an orc sat on top of that, just directing that into battle, or some sort of Chaos Lord. I think either would work very well. Very nice work. Thank you for sharing that, Tom. Okay. So yeah, it's. Let's just do one more. I think that's a good one to end on, but I want to just do one more because I didn't say that was the last one. So we're going to squeeze one more in there just to bring that. This also is 60 as well, so this brings it up to a nice even number. Let's go for the last one. So if you, like I said, if you haven't been featured on here, then Disco Lord, yeah, probably is a Lord Discord. It's a really excellent alternative for that as well. So, yeah, thank you for everyone who submitted so far. We have one more, and I will be revealing that shortly. If you have already submitted your work and haven't got around to it, don't worry. I have kept a list of every submission, so I will get around to you. I'll be doing these weekly. It seems you guys like to see them. I like doing them, so let's keep going. And yeah, this is it's been good. Also, since you submit, if you decide to become like a Patreon member or a YouTube member, just resubmit it and just tick that box and just ignore the previous one. Maybe just make a note, just so I don't want to miss anyone. So anyway, let's go for this last one. This is from the Mighty Starhawk, and this is a firstborn librarian throwing a lightning bolt, but she had to be sculpted. So let's see. So yeah, very nice work here. It's interesting to see some firstborn stuff popping up here. This is again another resin fine cast. This looks to be it's one of those, off the top of my head I can't remember if it's Captain or if it's one of those ones which is like the Master of Ordnance and those kind of chapter masters of such and such a thing. But you've done a really nice job of integrating these plastic components in there. I think that's from the Sanguinary God, if I'm not mistaken. So this is actually going to be a lightning bolt. It's not been sculpted on yet, but this is obviously going to be a base. And if this comes out as like a really nice kind of, I mean, a lot will be coming in this in the painting as well, but this would work really well. The pose is just really nice. It has a really nice kind of vibe going through. He's got this leg going up there. He's kind of getting ready to throw it. He's aiming this javelin. Yeah, as Devin said, it's got a really nice Greek vibe to it. And these little lightning bolts here in the bottom with the librarian, it just makes a lot of sense. It just goes and it builds up and creates a model which tells a story, and it works incredibly well. Yeah, really nice. Someone said the Stern Guard head. Yes, this Stern Guard kit is actually really nice. I have been meaning to pick one up for a while because it has some really nice shoulder pads in there, some really nice heads, some really nice accessories and things like that, which will all work really well for Primus conversions. So again, thank you very much. That is the last one of today's stream. The Mighty Starhawk, thank you very much for your submission and for being the last one that we focused on today. If I didn't get around to doing yours today, don't worry. I will be doing another one same time next week. I might do a modeling stream at some point again. I haven't done one for a while. Maybe do one at some point when I decide of something that I can do on a stream, which is interesting to watch on a stream and can be done in the hour. Definitely have something, you can join me for that. I will keep you updated, don't worry. Thank you for everyone who submitted. This stream wouldn't be possible if you guys weren't willing to share your work with me. It's always great to see how people have taken on conversions in their own ways and how they've kind of seen how different components can be used. It's always a great inspiration for me, and I hope it's been a great inspiration for you guys as well. if you've done some converting and you've already submitted and I've already featured you, then I would love if you just submit it again. And if you make some changes based on what I've said, or you do something else, then feel free to in the future. Big thank you for Ben as well, again keeping the chat as free of spam bots as is possible. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that. It's just one less things to keep an eye on whilst I'm going through the stream. So thank you very much. And yeah, Svedsman, thank you very much for joining. Course is becoming a regular series. Hope it'll last until I get into the hobby. Yes, it definitely will. It will definitely keep going. It might not be every week, depending on what I've got going on outside of this, but I'll definitely try and keep going on. Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, let's round it off there, and I will see you in the next stream, which will be next Wednesday. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you join Discord. We have a Discord that's open to everyone. There's a little Patreon area as well, so if you're in there, then you can have a little private little room to yourself. So thank you very much for joining, and I will see you next time.